I'm so happy, cause today I'm in a daze, cause I found God. Yeah, 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 yeah. I like it, I'm not gonna crack. Oh, Jesus Christ. He's the one who likes all our pretty songs. I what it means, and I say he's the one. Ready, ready, ready? Nature is a whore. Fucking lovely person. Anyway, yeah, I need to get water. So, my parents are home for the weekend. I got the house to myself, basically. And you know what that means? I get to listen to music. What else could I possibly do with the house by myself? Gamble? Do drugs? Fuck that. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to another video. I know I'm getting a little consistent here. Who knows? Maybe I'll be gone for another 3 months after this recording. That's just the way it is. Today, I'm finally going to react to an album that I've wanted to react to since the start of this year, but as I've been telling myself and others that I've been kind of busy at the beginning of this year, but I'm finally getting around to it since, you know, I did also just get around to finally recording, reacting, re-listening to the Black Parade once again. And we are returning to another artist that I've put on this channel, the lovely guys at the Nirvana band, because we are going to be looking, well, if you remember last year or so, Jesus, I already forgot, a year or so ago, I looked at Nevermind, which was a pretty great album, and I really liked it. You can kind of tell why it's regarded as one of the most important rock albums of the 90s and of all time. Well, we are going to be working backwards this time. We are going to go from Nevermind all the way back to their debut 1989 album Bleach. Yeah, that should be fun. That should be fun. I don't know if this usually works this way where never mind. I think it's pretty common for me to work backwards from their previous, like their biggest works. I kind of put them on. I don't know. We are going to be working backwards here for Nirvana with Bleach. I'm pretty sure I didn't get requested this, so this is not really a part of the Garroott friendly request, also known as the GRF, or also known as the greatest fucking series on earth. This is actually a rare case of me wanting to make a video on it just for the sake of making a video on it, because like obviously there's no like clean even anniversary date coming up for Bleach until at least 3 more years when it'll be 40 years old. Was anyone alive for the release of Bleach? You know, it's gonna be 40 years old in 3 years. Sorry. I honestly just want to listen to this album because we've already kind of been, we all know about Nirvana, we all know about Nevermind, but I want to hear the album before it. You know, I know a lot of people seem to like a lot of Nirvana's discography beyond Nevermind, which would make sense, but I do want another album under my belt. And also because Blue has been in my mind for like this entire year, and I'm like, all right, I definitely want to hear the album surrounding Blue, but I don't want to kind of listen to it off camera because I think it would make a fun video. You know what I'm saying? So this is really just a case of I wanted to react to it just for the sake of reacting to it. There's no ulterior anniversary even date coming up for it. No one requested it as far as I'm concerned. And I just have one of these songs, which is apparently the opening song, stuck in my head for this entire year so far. And I need to get it out. I don't need to get it out, but you know, I mean, I need to see what's surrounding it to finally get somewhat of a full context and have another Nirvana album under my belt. You know, I don't want to be called a LARPer for Nirvana, even though I've only listened to Nevermind. You know, all that jazz, all that stupid, goofy ass jazz. But anyway, if you don't know who Nirvana is, watch my Nevermind video where I completely do a deep dive into that. I'm just kidding, I did not. I don't even remember if I did the Genius Lore in it. But if you don't know who Nirvana is, I don't know, ask somebody who's wearing their shirts. You know, I'm not the Nirvana guy here. But what we can do is get into the formalities and look at the Genius Lore on the album Bleach. Nirvana's lineup in 1989 consisted of guitarist KurtCobain, bassist Chris Novoselic, and main drummer Chad Channing, although some songs featured Dale Crover of Melvin's fame on drums. Temporary member Jason Everman received credit as a second guitarist for fronting all $606 of the band's album recording costs, even though he does not appear on the record. Nice. This is off our first record. Most people don't own it. Nice. Kurt Cobain referring to About a Girl during their MTV Unplugged session in 1993. Wow. Nirvana's 1989 debut album lived almost exclusively in the underground Seattle circuit until it was plucked out of obscurity following Nirvana's breakthrough in 1991 with Nevermind. This early album is more raw than Nevermind, heavier than In Utero, and features a greater metal influence than Nirvana's later work. Kurt's songwriting during this period is marked by a decidedly non-commercial sound in contrast to the radio friendlies of Nevermind. About a Girl is one of the few pop-sensible songs on the album. Lyrically, Kurt focuses on dark subject matter, e.g. depression, alienation, and morbid introspection. Okay, I don't know why it says Kurt like that, but... Alright, you want to hear how badly I've been LARPing Nirvana? Unless I, like, hear it off rip and, like, you know, maybe it'll click for me, I don't think I've heard About a Girl. I don't think I have. Either not consciously looking into it, or it's never crossed my mind. That's how out of the loop I've been with Nirvana. As you can kind of see, Genius says it's almost been viewed a million times for the lyrics, but either I gotta listen to it and like completely just ruin this entire subject or segment of the intro, or I legit haven't heard this song before, which is, I don't know if that's crazy or not to normal casual rock fans, but hey, you know, like I've said, my entire life has just been a huge game of check up. Jesus Christ. This is a pretty sick album cover though. Look at that. Look at the black and whiteness. Also, before I'll get my Weezer mention out of the way, I think the one comparison I've heard about Bleach and Nevermind is, of course, from Mr. Fantano himself. I think he was talking about how the Blue Album was better than Pinkerton. It's like this very standalone video where he's kind of like, it's not the Billy Cobb debate where they debate the two albums. It's just him making his points across and like giving his statements and opinions on why the Blue Album is better than Pinkerton, which I do kind of agree. I think the Blue Album is better than Pinkerton, but that's a debate for another day. Well, then again, you have a whole Weezer series to look at as to why that could be. But I think he said in that video somewhere along the lines of like the Blue Album to Pinkerton is if like Nirvana made Nevermind first, then made Bleach. So if that's the case, then hey, who knows what might happen. I do like a lot of the guitar work and the heaviness on Pinkerton, but there are some parts on that album where it's just kind of off-puts me a little bit, you know, El Scorcho. Anyway, it's gonna be a weirder dynamic, of course, because this came out first and whatnot, and we'll see. This is literally me going from Nevermind to Bleach. So I don't know who knows how the dynamic's gonna work there, but I'm all for it. I love Blue, and I can't wait. All right, Nirvana fans, let's get back into it. Bleach, Nirvana, June 1st, 1989. 13 songs, 42 minutes, 45 seconds. Track number 1, a banger, Blue. Listen to that bass line, dude. Look at and the tuning on the guitars. Listen to this. Ooh. Ooh. And if you wouldn't mind, I would like it blue. And if you wouldn't mind, I would like to lose. And if you wouldn't care, I would like to leave to breathe. Ready? Is there another reason for that rhymes with shame? And if you wouldn't mind, I would like it blue. I don't know why Spotify says too blue. It's it blue, wasn't it? If you wouldn't mind, I would like to lose. And if you wouldn't care, I would like to leave. Mine, I would like to breathe. Another reason for your stain, could you? Ow! Is there another reason for stress the strain? Here is another shame. Could do anything, could do anything, could do anything. I mean, what a banger, right? What a freaking banger. Ugh, sorry, I need to... My throat's gonna be fucked after that. Yeah, I mean, like, the down tune of the bass and the guitars, the guitar riff is freaking heavy as fuck. The raspiness in Kurt's voice, which is gonna be common throughout a lot of Nirvana songs anyways, but it's just, it all just combines to make a very, like, gross, heavy, fucked up track. And it's so good. It is so sick. Blue is the first ever original single released by the hit grunge band Nirvana. The song was written and recorded in 1988 and was often performed live. It quickly became a staple of the live set list throughout Nirvana's short-lived lifespan. Throughout the song, Kurt Cobain talks about not living up to his full potential despite being given the ability to do it. Blue is more like a realization of the fact that you can be something greater, but choose not to go down that path. During the recording of the song, both Kurt and Chris tuned their instruments down, forgetting that they already had done that. This led to the song being presented in a drop C tuning, which is the explanation for the very extremely heavy yet perfect sound. Perfect is a good way to describe it. A lot of good stuff comes from mistakes, right? Kurt wants to be blown. Alright, dude. Alright. Good start. Yeah, it's a very fun, heavy, sick ass riff. Good track. Good opener track. Good opener track too. Next track number 2, Floyd the Barber. Gonna give me a good ass cut. What in the Slayer? You can definitely tell the rawness in this album. It feels very, very like loosely mixed, I guess. Hello? Okay, yeah, you're right. We do get pretty dark on this album. Jesus Christ. Wow. Hey, the riff was kind of, hey, like the guitar tuning was sick again. I didn't know it was gonna turn into that. I did not know. I thought he was just gonna get a nice little shave, nice little haircut. And then he just gets fucking assaulted and died. Not died. He gets murdered. The title and lyrics of this song were inspired by the 1960s television program The Andy Griffith Show, a show I've watched a lot in my youth because my dad would have it on the TV. Floyd, Barney, Opie, and Aunt Bee were characters in the portrayal of a small, idyllic American town called Mayberry. Cobain used the show's innocent setting to tell a twisted story of going to the barber for a shave, only to end up being held captive, then tortured, raped, and murdered by the locals. Using this platform, he makes a philosophical point, describing how people of the time whitewashed their 50s upbringing to the point of refusing to acknowledge real social issues of the time. Yep. Strangely enough, according to NME, police reports imply that when Cobain's body was found, a nearby television was tuned to a station that aired syndicated reruns of The Andy Griffith Show. It may have been one of the last images he saw. Wow, there's just a lot of interesting stuff about Cobain's life, to put it lightly. The chorus, although quite simple and repetitive, provides some insight into Cobain's psyche and lyrical style. Here we find a good example of his signature wordplay, juxtaposing Floyd the Barber's shave job with the shame felt by the narrator after Floyd and Aunt Bee sexually assaulted him. A similar rhyme can also be found on Bleach's previous album opener, Blue. Stress the strain, here is another word that rhymes with shame. When Psychology Today published a write-up on the May 2015 documentary Cobain Montage of Heck, I think I was requested that, they focus on his profound sense of shame stemming from his parents' divorce and other deep-seated issues. This documentary affords us a rare and tragic view as to how it all got established and played itself out. His pain, his shame, his inability to relate, his drug addiction, his art, his suicide. Cobain is definitely one of the most documented instances of a very struggled artist, very struggling artist. Not in the sense that like struggling financially or popularity wise, struggling with that popularity he's got, struggling with his deep-rooted familial issues, that kind of shit. Definitely the biggest, probably one of the biggest documented cases in rock history, maybe even music history. Yeah, but wow, what a track. Okay, wow, very fucked up shit. Next track though is the big track, About a Girl. Let's see if I have heard this track before, like actually. Hold on. I don't think I've heard this song before. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm a freaking LARPer, dude. I'm a freaking poser. I'm sorry. Hope you have the time day with you. Music friend, have a glue. Well, I mean, I guess in contrast to the previous two songs, Blue instrumentally wise, Floyd the Barber, Jesus Christ, how am I already forgetting? Floyd the Barber, lyrically wise, yeah, this one seems a little bit more casual, a little bit more, you know, approachable when it comes to the masses of the music consumption land. But yeah, it felt very much as normal as a normal Nirvana song could be, I guess. So I guess it does make sense as to why Genius says that this is probably the most pop-esque, what did he say? Pop sensible songs. There we go. And I wonder what this song is about. Anyone got any guesses? According to Chad Channing, Nirvana's drummer around the time of Bleach, Cobain didn't have a title for the song when he first brought it into the studio. When asked what it was about, Cobain replied, "It's about a girl." Say that again. The girl in question was Tracy Miranda, Cobain's then girlfriend, with whom he lived at the time. Apparently, Miranda had asked Cobain why he had never written a song for her. Oh, okay. And Cobain responded with About a Girl. The song addresses the couple's fractured relationship caused by Cobain's refusal to get a job, or to share cleaning duties at their apartment, which housed many of his pets. Oh, okay, wow. Refusal to get a job, so real though. Sorry. During arguments on the subject, Cobain would occasionally threaten to move into his car, at which point Miranda would usually relent. Cobain never told Miranda that he had written About a Girl for her. In the 1998 Nick Broomfield documentary, Kurt and Courtney, Miranda revealed that she only found out after reading Come As You Are, the story of Nirvana. Wow. Kurt Cobain wrote this after spending the previous night listening to the Beatles' first US album, Meet the Beatles, over and over. Hey, he did like the Beatles. Nirvana opened their MTV Unplugged in New York session with this song.
Think you're getting real fiber fast internet? Only Hawaiian Telecom has 100% fiber internet for real.
Hey, this shout out to fiber internet though. Good day, bro. He's got a good voice, bro. I mean, if that wasn't obvious. Yeah, cool. Very cute. Very lovely. Nirvana, the swan. These little swines that they are. Track number 4. School. I fucking hate school. What the fuck? Oh, hello. Damn, you have to stay after class, dude? That sucks, man. Damn, they're going ham with these guitars, huh? Hello? With these little... Okay. Why am I yawning, bro? It's 1 p.m. Yeah, I would be yawning at this time in high school, though. No recess! Jesus Christ. Well, welcome back. Minimalistic lyricism, bro. Geez, yeah, you know, high school, I'm not gonna say high school sucked for me, but, high school was definitely something. I think, well, I had fun in high school. I don't know about you guys, but class of 2020. Didn't get a graduation. We didn't get a I'm sorry. It seems like Cobain, either he is like fucking hating his high school upbringing, you know, because, you know, rough childhood and whatnot. I don't know. This is pretty much a fuck school anthem right here. Sorry, I don't mean to like take the piss out of it, but the riff was fucking sick. The fourth track on Nirvana's debut album Bleach, School, masterfully infuses simplistic yet all-telling and somewhat indulgent lyrics and a hard-hitting riff with an unmistakable intro. One that has become a staple of fans' memories throughout the years. Cobain himself described the song as representing the Seattle grunge scene parallel to the Cliques and featured groups at high school. Towards the end of the band's 1989 Europe tour, he was noted as having to look out in the audience, and all he could see were the kind of people who used to beat him up at school. Wow. Which progressively led to future tracks directed towards this fan base. The most notable song being In Bloom on Nevermind, which we have talked about a decent amount on the Nevermind video. It was often requested at concerts throughout the band's entire inception life and included on home video releases such as Live at the Paramount, Live at Reading, and more recently, Live and Loud, in addition to the 20th anniversary reissue of Bleach. Do you know where I can find that quote about his perception of the audiences on the tour? Incesticide CD liner notes. Okay, yeah, okay, that using the context or like the retrospective context of In Bloom, yeah, I guess it does sound like stuff about how Cobain very much had a disdain towards his youthful years. I mean, getting beat up by bullies and then having them sing your lyrics is, I guess in a way it could feel cathartic or like, you know, a little bit of a victory lap, but at the same time it's like, you guys only fuck with me because I'm a popular rock artist. if I showed you this while I was in high school, you would have kicked my ass. You would have shoved me in a locker or something like that. So I guess in a way it's almost like a disingenuous kind of fandom in a way. But then again, Cobain was definitely a very unique individual, very flawed individual, very sad one. The song is about a high school student becoming a janitor at the same high school he studied at, which most likely sucked for him. Wouldn't you believe it? It's just my luck referred to the chances of becoming a janitor at your old high school. No recess referred to the fact that janitors don't have recess. This is based on Cobain's own experiences. In fact, right after he dropped out, he became a janitor at his high school and saw all his classmates were still there. Wow, that would be kind of weird seeing, I guess, your former classmate just become a janitor at your high school. I mean, if I saw that at my high school, I thought it would have been a very, very interesting situation, but hey, everyone be struggling. Yeah, cool song. Well, not situational wise, but I've been saying the riffs have been sick so far. Next track though, track 5, Love Buzz. Hello, this bass line? You gotta get those coins in. Hello, Kurt? Hold on, this riff is sick. Whoa, this is fucking sick. Hold on. I would. This is just like a very Arabian feel. I mean, like, does this not feel very Arabian? Our bass is doing that like practically the whole song, it feels like. And the way he's singing it. And we got a whole nother minute left, boys and girls. They were doing this shit in the 80s? Well, I mean, like, for the beginning album, the debut album? Oh, this is a cover song. Ah, from a 1969 song? Dutch band? Shocking Blue. Okay, these guys are tapped in. Well, who would have guessed? This is a fucking sick ass cover. I haven't heard the original, but holy shit. Kurt's just a lover, man. Just, you gotta feel his love. You gotta feel his love buzz. You know, you gotta feel that. Next track. Track 6. Paper Cuts. What the fuck are you doing, dude? These fucking palm-muted chug riffs. Fuck yeah, dude. Door! What the f- This is sick. Can! Oh, well, we know about your cleaning hassles. What the fuck? This is so metal. What the fuck? Holy shit. It's so punky. I know those guys, dude. You don't have to keep mentioning them. Stop LARPing, guys. We know who Nirvana is, dude. You don't have to. This obscure 80s metal band, dude. Holy LARP. They pointing my way. Oh shit. Oh shit. Holy shit, Kurt. Wow, that was another huge instance of their wearing their heavy metal influences just fucking sewed onto their skin at that point. Jesus Christ. The little chorus, the dun 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 dun. I mean, like, this is just all fucking. This is like as heavy metal can get, but man, even the screaming, like I said, it feels very punk rock-ish. It's just so emotional. Very much he's reaching for those yells, and it's not like, oh my, it almost sends chills at your spine, especially because I'm pretty sure it's talking about like a troubled child protective services, fucked up family dynamic, that kind of stuff. Which sounds pretty right for Kurt's lyrical songwriting process, but man, it's just I know there's other songs too where it's very much like you can give this an example of, you know, even on in utero I'm pretty sure that has Rape Me and other songs like that, but it's very funny. Well, not very funny, but it's very interesting to see such a variety or contrast in a way of how intense they go with their subject matter and how they, I guess, execute it and portray it in their songs. Because like you hear a song like Paper Cuts or I guess even Floyd the Barber and you're like, wow, this is the same band that had a song like Smells Like Teen Spirit. And I don't know if that's like the best example to give of showing the contrast between, you know, the band's musical output, but it's just so interesting to see or think of a situation where a music listener hears Smells Like Teen Spirit is like, oh man, I should go look at their other material, maybe it's just as good, and then to hear something like Paper Cuts and it's like, what the fuck? It's not like a drastic change or anything, but it's just trying to connect that. It's only a 2-year difference, by the way, from this to Nevermind, so it's like, huh, how did that happen? Then again, there are a lot of instances of a song as intense as this do end up on Nevermind, especially the Endless Nameless track. I don't know if that's a bonus track or not, but you know, that track ends up on there. That's probably one of the heaviest songs off of Nevermind. And I guess I don't know, gotta get away, that song. Sorry, I don't know why I'm forgetting the name to that. Gotta get away. That song was pretty gnarly. Stay Away? I think it was Stay Away. Yeah, so they were not lying. Paper Cuts is arguably the most intense song on the album. Okay. jarring rhythms and screeching vocals. The song depicts a child growing up in a house which has black windows. According to LiveNirvana.com's archives, the song is about an abused boy trapped in the basement of their parents' house. Jesus Christ, I couldn't even imagine. This kid came from a family who tortured their children and kept them all in one room with black painted windows and a pile of newspapers for a toilet. The authorities later found out and took the kids away. The lyrics also seem to contain elements from Kurt's relationship with his mother. Like, Jesus Christ, how do you even think it? Oh, it's not like it's the most outlandish, fucked up thing to think of, but like, this has definitely happened somewhere in the States, at least, or in the world. You know, parents can be fucked up. I don't know up to this extent, and I don't know how frequent this has happened, but Jesus Christ, that is a just, I mean, yeah, there's no way around it. That's a fucked up situation. If you know a parent like that, or if you know a parent that like could possibly, most likely end up with their children in that situation, Jesus Christ. Save the kids. Save the fucking kids, man. I couldn't imagine how... I don't even know if this is like a fictional story at this point, or like, if something like this does happen, has happened in real life, Jesus Christ, I couldn't even imagine how the kid might feel, or how badly that's gonna impact them long term, because like, if they're just gonna trap them in that room, who knows how, if they fucking nurture them at all, or even taught them how to do basic human functions like read, write, or speak. Hell, I don't even know if they know how to fucking walk. They could be on all fours for all we know, using newspapers like a fucking dog. Jesus Christ. Just thinking about that situation, Jesus Christ. It's not like I'm like, this is like a fucking foreign concept to me, right? I've heard of fucked up shit happening in the world. It's just like, wow. I did not expect a lot of these dark turns on the songs. Keep in mind, I've only listened to Blue. Blue is nowhere near as fucked up lyrically as the songs I've heard so far on Bleach. That's not to say it's a bad thing. It's just that I guess I wasn't really mentally preparing myself. I should have known better from Mr. KurtCobain. But anyway, track 7, it's called Negative Creep. I have no idea if this has any relation to... Wait. When did Radiohead's Creep come out? 91, right? No, 91 sounds too early. 92. Yeah, 1992. Okay, this most likely will have nothing to do with Radiohead. Because I'm thinking in my mind, it's like, right? Nirvana would be the kind of dude to just sarcastically rag on a popular thing at the time, right? And, you know, Creep being Radiohead's biggest song in the 90s at that point, it's like, oh, yeah, he probably would just maybe have an offhanded comment about the song or Radiohead in general, but this predates Creep. So, let's see it. Track 7, Negative Creep. Jesus Christ, the downtuning on these guitars, man. Kurt's in his, like, 1980s wrestler speaking. He sounds like a more intense, screeching Macho Man Randy Savage. Okay. Holy fucking shit. Muse reference. Yeah, he's a negative creep, man. Similar to Sweet Young Thing Ain't Sweet No More. It's also a song about the loss of innocence. Yeah, I can tell. There's a lot of like these very repetitive lines in the choruses or whatnot, and it just ingrained it into your memory or into your brain to just get the point across. It's like, wow. Another intense song. Track 8, Scoff. Jesus Christ, this fucking, the tuning, dude. Holy shit. I don't think you want to do that. I think you should do that though. Nope, don't think so. Jesus Christ. Kurt's being very straightforward with these lyrics. He's been doing that, but it's like, I mean, Jesus Christ, the subject of alcoholism and I guess also child neglect. Yeah, a lot of recurring and common themes within this album so far. And what's also been recurring is these fucking down-tuned guitar riffs. Give me back my alcohol! Give me back my alcohol! Alcohol is both used clinically as an antiseptic as well as recreationally as a beverage. Recreationally, Jesus. The CDC estimates that excessive alcohol consumption kills approximately 95,000 people annually in the United States alone. Harmful use of alcohol is also responsible for the death of 3 million people globally every year. That's roughly 1 in 20 deaths. So, drink responsibly if you haven't been told that for decades at this point. But what a track. Jesus Christ. Next track, Swap Meet. I know that. I know what that is. Hell yeah. There's no way we can make this situation fucked up, right? Okay. Fight to keep their stomachs full. Gonna seashells driftwood and burlap for show. Keeps the cigarettes close to his heart. Keeps our photographs close to our heart. Keeps our bitterness close to the heart. Holy Jesus Christ. Okay, well, it's not the most fucked up thing in the album. I mean, I honestly thought he was just gonna like complain about the swap meet for like a good 3 minutes, which no, it pretty much kind of turned into a little relationship track, a little fractured relationship, which seems to be very much Nirvana's forte. But yeah, hey, enough with the toxic masculinity. You don't have to be nonchalant with your girl. You can show her love all you want, bro. You don't have to be like, yeah, I love her, and that's it. No, fucking shower her with shit. I don't know. Freaking be a lover boy. Stop being a pussy. Stop being a manly pussy. Give her kisses. Kick your feet up when you're talking to her on your bed. I don't fucking know. Do something. This Bleach track is one of the most tempestuous and restless in Nirvana's catalog. The guitar playing is as anxious as sweaty hands, and Chad Channing's drums race ahead of the action like he's late for a meeting. The feeling fits the content, in which Cobain sets the scene of two hometown losers too busy exchanging arts and crafts to shut up and have sex already. What? I guess. Cobain wasn't known as a storyteller, but he was known as a Seattle thrift store fiend. This caustic snapshot of life back home then works like a snapshot jotted down from one such swap meet, the outsider judging the insiders from the periphery. As Nirvana's reputation grew, this small town send-up seemed to fall out of favor, with the band playing it less than almost any song released on an official studio album. Too bad, it's a musical fist fight. What a way with words. What a way with words. Holy. Next track 8. Where am I? Tan. Track 10. Mr. Moustache. Surely this isn't about the mustache guy, right? The evil Charlie Chaplin? Like the riffs, the guitar work and the riffs are pretty fun on here in this album. It's not to say like Nevermind didn't have fun riffs, it's just like wow. Sorry, I'm already gonna add it to the playlist. Hi Cow. Oh hell nah, dude. He's you. I'm glad we have to stop the music for a little bit after that line. We gotta let the line sit in for like a split second, you know. Fine, we just go into like this little breakdown. Wow. Very exciting riff. Very much walking us up, walking us a little, you know, getting us a little on our feet, getting us fucking moving. And poop is hard as rock. Doesn't like me anyway, slid in a box. Well, I don't think it was about, you know, the German mustache guy. Apparently it's about this guy. A comic strip that Kurt drew as a teenager. Journals, page 24. Boy, he's gonna be quite a man. Listen to the power in those little strong legs. He's gonna be a football player. My Nat collection? This kid better not be a lousy little girl. I want my very own honest, hard-working Jew. Jesus Christ, what the fuck? KurtCobain drew this? I can't say that. Hey, at least he's being true to the character. Okay, I didn't even see that part. Hayden, 100% pure beef American male. I'll teach him how to work on cars and exploit women. Oh shit. What a line. What a panel. What a singular panel. Wow. That is as old school American redneck as can possibly be, I guess. Listen to those strong little legs kick. And then he gets fucking obliterated by the baby, possibly killing the mother as well. And wow, what a comment. What a little 4-page comment, KurtCobain. Oh, is that why CURDT? Is that how you spelled it at the time? He's got a very interesting drawing style, at least. Wow, what a comic. What a comic you have here, Kurt. Is an attack on stereotypical redneck men that Kurt grew up around in rural Washington. I gotta remember that, like, even though Kurt is from like Washington or like the general Seattle area, and nowadays Seattle is usually looked at a more like left-leaning blue state, right? Heavily left-leaning blue state. I always gotta remember this. Even if it is a generally blue state, there's definitely a bunch of other more radical right-leaning places around scattered throughout the Washington state. I know a lot of people say that about Oregon too, because I knew a lot of people from Portland who would be like, yeah, it's really basically just Portland. Everything else, like, outside of the general city area, it gets a little bit more, less liberal. So, then again, I wouldn't know. I haven't traveled the greater Portland, Oregon area like that, so, I just kind of have to take their words for it, you know, even though generally Seattle and Oregon are usually looked at Washington State and Oregon are usually looked at those, you know, those usually blue-leaning, heavy blue states, and, you know, it is what it is. But I gotta remember, a Washington redneck, I gotta remember that those probably still exist somewhere. Don't know how often it is, but I'm good. Jesus Christ, that fucking panel. Alright, next track. Track number 11. Sifting. We're baking right now. Five minutes. Strap in. Holy. Grade what? Relatable. Don't have nothing for you. Don't have nothing for you. I'll get back to you on that. I hate getting sick, so probably not, Kurt. I'm sorry. You know, agree to disagree. You know, you're a fun guy and all, but. This is by the way, this is a very slow and methodical song. This is like the pre-Nameless Endless of Bleach, I guess. It does have the very repetitive, ingrained in your brain type of lyrics. Yeah, I guess if you like the more slower, lengthy Nirvana tracks that kind of like sit there for a while, hey, you might like this one a lot. A lot. I think it's alright. I think it's cool. Next track, Big Cheese. Sorry. Straight back. KurtCobain knows how to fucking screech, huh? I don't know if it's like the right way to screech, but you can definitely feel the rawness in those screams. Wow, yeah, so this is a track about Cobain kind of expressing, or, you know, giving his grievances out on, I guess, the record execs or the label execs of the time, because, as it says here, I was expressing all the pressures that I felt from Jonathan Poneman at the time because he was being so judgmental about what we were recording. And, as you can see here, Big Cheese is slang for a boss or a big shot. For Nirvana, this applied to Bruce Pavitt and Jonathan Poneman, founders of Sub Pop Records. While they worked with Nirvana on releasing Bleach in 1989, they famously underestimated their potential. Yeesh. Wow, what a misstep. According to a January 2003 Mojo article archived on the Live Nirvana website, Poneman was quoted as saying, "I think it's inevitable that Nirvana would go on to a larger label, but I don't think it was inevitable that the relationship between Sub Pop and Nirvana, which disintegrated to a large degree, necessarily needed to. I accept my responsibility in that deterioration, but in my own defense, I will say it was driven by the times, my age, unfamiliarity with these circumstances." Okay, maybe. When you're in your 20s and still feeling your way around, and suddenly these media barons and tastemakers are telling you that you're God, it goes to your head. And it went to my head. It went to Bruce's head. It went to Kurt's head. And it went to Chris's head. And it would have been nice to have a little bit more trust. Okay, well. Yeah, I guess. I don't know the full extent or the story behind this, right? I guess in the most casual standpoint, it does feel a little bit of a, you know, mistake in retrospect. Obviously, I don't know how badly the relationship was between both parties at the time or how much they butted heads or whatnot, but it does feel like, especially with how Kurt's describing it, it does feel like, feels like they didn't get as much label support as he kind of wished they would, or like in a sense that they kind of just let them be a little bit more freeing or less judgmental with the way Kurt was writing, which, you know, I guess maybe, but then again, like, especially on this album, by the way, Kurt really doesn't have the deepest or like metaphorical way of writing on these. Like, he's very straightforward with it, right? I think that's kind of usually how Kurt kind of writes. That's just as prominent in this album as it can be. I mean, I guess maybe he had a problem with the repetitiveness, maybe. I don't know. Maybe the too dark of a lyrical matter. That could also be a thing. But it's like, I don't know. It seems like this is becoming a cult classic, or it is a classic, but maybe it was a cult classic around the time before Nirvana got picked up from Nevermind. I don't know. And it tells all this time, right? The artists very much showing their grievances with the record label or whatnot, whether it be through their song or just, you know, in an out of studio situation, you know, in an interview or whatnot, or nowadays like an Instagram story or a tweet, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, cool. Shout out to Big Cheese. Shout out to Cheese in general. But we will, unfortunately, this ride has to end. And it will end with track 13, right? Track 13 out of 13 with Downer. Come on, let's see how you end this off, Mr. Bleach. It's only a minute 43, okay. Oh, okay, we are going punk rock here. This is so fucking punk rock, dude. Oh yeah, what the fuck? Holy shit. And with that being said, that is Bleach. That's Bleach. Down. Sorry. Wow. That was definitely the shortest song off the album, and it was just, that was as punk as ever. That was definitely just fucking straight up punk music. A lot of the stuff here has been heavy metal inspired, but definitely a lot of, I don't know if garage is the right word, but you know, that rawness, that kind of like do-it-yourself feeling of the production and the mixing and whatnot feels very much like a, not like a negative sense, but it's almost like a very polished demo tape kind of thing. I don't know. And you know, the punk rock element of it, with it being very raw and emotional and fast-paced like that, what a way to end it off. Not out of place, but definitely a very interesting sound to leave us off. You know, I guess leave us off with a banger. Kurt said about this song, "I was trying to be Mr. Black Flag punk rock guy. I didn't know what I was talking about." Downer is actually the only song to emerge from his Fecal Matter demo to an official Nirvana album. Twice? Once on Bleach and the second time on Incesticide. Oh. The Bleach one was recorded by Kurt on guitar and vocals, and Dale Crover Melvins on drums and bass. Crover later re-recorded the drums, and that's the version that ended up on Incesticide. The song is a remnant of Kurt's immersion in hardcore punk and his pre-Nirvana 1985 Fecal Matter days. Wow, okay. The only song officially released from the Fecal Matter tape is Spank Through. Downer is the same recording on both Bleach and Incesticide. It was added along with Big Cheese to later copies of Bleach. Oh, so are these like additional tracks but not like bonus tracks kind of thing? I don't know. But yes, I can definitely see the hardcore punk influence on that track. Very much Black Flag, definitely very much like Circle Jerks kind of shit, you know, usual hardcore punk rock bands that Kurt probably was hearing around that time or very much into during his pre-Nirvana days, if that's the case. I guess we will go and talk about it. That was Nirvana's Bleach. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty good. Wow, I can kind of see what they mean by this is definitely more leaning towards the heavy metal, punk rock, hardcore type of music style that you really don't think of Nirvana as, really, because obviously when Nevermind comes around, they basically kind of revive, or not revive, make a whole new genre with the, make a whole new genre, did they make grunge? Either make grunge or revived it, popularized it, whatever, into that grunge sound that pretty much shaped the 90s. And if you hear stuff like Bleach, this is at the tail end of the 80s. Guys like Metallica are already making Injustice for All, and like nothing really like this. Kind of like, anyway, not to get into it because I haven't really listened to Injustice for All fully in a while. But a lot of this is very much heavily influenced by other sounds that are pretty good. They convey it pretty well. It's not like it's just wearing them on the vest to a T, or it's like in that negative sense, but yeah, you can definitely tell the influences are extremely heavy on here. I mean, like, even with the riffs on here, the chugging, the palm muting chugging, you know, the heavy metal I've been aware of, you know, usually in the standard tuning, but I guess detuning it a little bit or a lot throughout the album definitely helps bring out its uniqueness. I know maybe a lot of heavy metal bands that Kurt was listening to definitely detune their guitars. I'm not sure. I usually listen to the big ones, the Metallicas and the Megadeths, whatnot. They were pretty much in standard tuning all the time, so it's like, you know, I can't really pinpoint specific heavy metal bands that Kurt was very much wearing throughout this album. Well, a couple that did come to mind was obviously Slayer and whatnot. And you gotta remember, this is 89. Master of Puppets released 3 years before this. South of Heaven released like the year prior. So this is very much still into the 80s heavy metal boom or golden age. So yeah, I mean, it would make sense for Nirvana to be having that style or that musical palette in mind when it comes to making an album like this. And it does feel like a very youthful album, feels like a very much like a album of a new band on the scene ready to kick ass kind of stuff. So there's gonna be some nicks and crannies and a little bit of like down moments in compared to what they would release in Nevermind or in Utero or whatever past this. You can definitely see a little bit of stuff that would later be repolished up or cleaned up later on in like their very short lifespan, as we mentioned before, with albums that would be classified as almost near perfect rock albums, near perfect grunge albums, near perfect 90s albums, music albums in general. It's one of those instances again where it's nice to see where they began. And you know, I don't think this is a perfect album, but it's very much a good album to showcase what they were capable of, and in retrospect showing what they how far they can reach beyond this, you know, reach higher peaks with other albums. And the big one that will come just 2 years later, which is pretty insane considering that 2 years before Nevermind this was seen as like an underground album. Apparently it was only circulating in the underground Seattle area, which is crazy to think about, right? Obviously these bands always got to start somewhere, and it's always just, I don't know why, it's very hard to wrap around your mind, right? How can a band as big as Nirvana only have their debut album circulate in only their local area? But it just makes so much sense, you know. Every popular band kind of blows up at a very different point in their career. I'd want to say, I don't know, but yeah, just 2 years later, just 2 years after this, they'd blow up and then reach, I guess this album kind of received a new life. Just 2 years later, just 2 years. It's insane. But like I said, going from Nevermind to Bleach, it's definitely a little bit of a shocker. And it's not like I'm being a little bit of like, I don't know what dark subject matters are, right? Like, I've been on the internet, I've had unrestricted internet access in the 2010s, right? So it's not like this is a very much new topic for me, but you know, I'm not the guy who would go on a live leak just offhandedly just because I thought so, you know, back in like my early high school days. I don't do that anymore. So Kurt was definitely an interesting mind. Kurt was definitely an interesting story for a lot of people, and it definitely shows in the music here, and not just lyrically wise, instrumentally wise, and the way he just expresses himself vocally, screeching, dude. I know a lot of it does still bleed into Nevermind, right? It's not like these two are completely night and day albums, but they just lean heavily into some of this stuff, and it's insane stuff. Insane stuff. It's not to say like Nevermind is like this completely polished, clean cut, like everyone can consume everything on this album type of thing, right? I'm not saying that. Like, even the fucking cover art, the cover art for Nevermind is probably way more controversial than the Bleach cover art. But yeah, I don't know. It's not like this album is like their sellout out. It's like the album where they sold out or anything. I don't think there's a single Nirvana album where it felt like they sold out or tried to play it safe. It's just that this one leans way more into it than I feel like on Nevermind, and Nevermind definitely still had a lot of stuff where it's like, oh wow, that's some very dark topical stuff you're singing about there, Kurt. But then that also could just be the overall aesthetic or sound palette coming from this album and the way it's emanating, you know, the black and white, the chrome key, whatever it's called, not chrome key, whatever it is, where they're all black and white like that, and the weird lighting, color effects, and just the sound, just the way it sounds. It sounds heavier, darker, deeper, fucked up. And I like it. I do like it. It is definitely a little bit of a shock going from that to Nevermind, but not as foreign or crazy as I personally think. But maybe if like the casual Nirvana shirt wearing, only knows Smells Like Teen Spirit person were to listen to this album, they probably would get a little bit more of a shock factor, maybe. I don't know, because like, remember, this situation is, I feel like, is very much more unique one. Actually, no, it's definitely not, because if Nevermind put them on the map, then a lot of people would definitely go back to Bleach and hear this and get a little bit shocked. So yeah, maybe I'm in the majority here, where you kind of have to work backwards listen to Bleach. But yeah, a lot of fucked up stuff. Child abuse, neglect, bullying, isolation, just like what Genius told us about. I should have prepared for that, but it is what it is. Yeah, Blue's a banger. Battle Girl is a very much popular song for a reason. Floyd the Barber is all kinds of fucked up. And yeah, Downer is a punk rock fucking anthem right there. Mr. Moustache is pretty cool. I do love Kurt's little sarcastic, you know, satirical way of making fun of people he didn't like, or archetypes or stereotypes. Paper Cuts is fucked. Love Buzz's cool little cover. And yeah, I think it's just a really great album. I think it also deserves its classic reigns within the band's discography. It's nice to see their humble beginnings. This album is anything but humbling or calming in any way, but it's nice to see where they started and see how they pretty much skyrocketed from here. And it's not to say like Bleach is a bad album in any way, it's just that like the way that they were, I guess, almost perfecting it with Nevermind and whatnot. And I can't say too much about Incesticide or In Utero, but I know In Utero is definitely another one of those albums where it feels pretty much like a another classic. And I guess you can have that little argument about how Nirvana hasn't really had a bad album, but then again, it's also, you are talking about a band that is extremely short-lived. Extremely short-lived. But you can barely find a complaint off of Nevermind. There are very minimal complaints about Bleach. I can't say anything about Incesticide, and I can't really say anything about In Utero besides Heart-Shaped Box and Rape Me. So yeah, just another classic album in Nirvana's very much short-lived but strong discography. I don't know what else needs to be said about Bleach that already hasn't been said. It's definitely a more darker, heavier Nevermind. Maybe you might describe that with the other albums that precede Nevermind as well, but I'll leave that for any Nirvana fans or commenters on this video or whatnot. Because I think I said what I kind of had to say at this point. What else do you need to know about Nirvana's Bleach that already hasn't been said? But yeah, great album. With that being said, thank you for watching another Nirvana album reaction in the books. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Watch my Nevermind album reaction if you want to. Watch my non-Nirvana videos if you want to. Nirvana fans, welcome back. Hopefully you're back from the Nevermind video. If you haven't watched the Nevermind video, check it out. It's their biggest album, right? Let me know what you think of Bleach. Do you prefer it over Nevermind? I mean, like, it's possible. It's definitely possible. A lot of people don't have to have Nevermind as their favorite Nirvana album, and I think that's great. That's great. Even if you do like Nevermind as their best, that's also great. But I do want to hear your thoughts about Bleach. Maybe if you had a similar situation as me where Nevermind kind of put you onto Nirvana and you kind of work backwards, I want to know how much of a distinction or change in variety that felt from the two albums, or if there was no change at all, or that kind of stuff. Don't know what's next. Actually, I do know what's next, but it's not a Nirvana album. But yeah, can't wait to record more stuff and clear up more space and get the Patreon running again, because my god, I'm recording too much stuff and I'm not clearing it up fast enough, and I'm just a lazy fuck. Sorry. Anyway, great album, fun album, love the riffs. Might just look at some guitar covers later on today, but we shall see. Yeah, shout out to Nirvana, shout out to Kurt, shout out to everyone else in the band, and don't shout out Dave because he wasn't here yet. There goes my hero. Okay, bye. If you were mine, I would like it blue.